we're back over here today with another video on ACS Combat, and today we're going to be giving you my official predictions for Daniel Dubois versus Oleksandr Usyk 2. Got those names the wrong way about, but that's the way it goes. This weekend, July 19th, Wembley Stadium, possibly a crowd of upwards of 80,000 or 90,000 possibly. Huge fight for all the belts, undisputed heavyweight champion. The stakes are huge in this fight. Daniel Dubois redeems pieces of himself that he lost, or where people call him a quitter and stuff like that from the first fight. He gets that back, and he would also become the first ever undisputed British champion in the four belt era at heavyweight, I believe. And obviously for Oleksandr Usyk, it just adds on to the list of people he's beat, and the list of belts he has, as he will become a two-time undisputed heavyweight world champion. Let's get into my breakdown and my predictions for this fight. Starting on the front foot, coming out heavy on the pressure is a huge factor for Daniel Dubois to win this fight. You look at what he done in the Anthony Joshua fight, almost as if Joshua wasn't expecting it. Daniel Dubois just jumped on him. That whole fight, Anthony Joshua tried to kind of little brother him in the lead up, tell him to stop disrespecting me. And you could kind of tell from that moment, AJ wasn't really thinking that Daniel Dubois was going to come out and try and put the hurt on him straight away. But that's what he done. He come out and he went at it, like the movie. He went at him like a raging bull and clipped him in the first 30 seconds with a right hook that I believe messed AJ up immediately. And obviously then dropped him multiple times and stopped him in the fifth round, knocked him out in the best performance of his career yet. And obviously Daniel Dubois is on a great streak at the moment, with his win over Anthony Joshua. Then before that, Filip Hrgovic, and before that, Jarrell Miller. All three coming by way of stoppage. Stopped Miller with 10 seconds left. Stopped Hrgovic in a brutal fight. Cuts everywhere. And then the AJ fight, obviously. So look, it's best for... I would rather see Daniel Dubois come out and throw everything he has for this fight at Usyk in the first 6 rounds, rather than try and hang on and get it in the later rounds or win by decision, because that's never happened against Usyk and probably will never happen. Even though Usyk's older, unless this is one of those overnight things, I don't think Usyk's cardio will be heavily affected by it. So he'll probably still be on the go in those later rounds and winning like he usually does, rounds 9, 10, 11, 12, that kind of space, the championship rounds. Whereas Dubois, it's, the saying, get rich or die trying. You gotta knock this guy out in the first 6 rounds or go down trying, because we've seen in his last couple of fights with Usyk, you can't be like Tyson Fury. Yeah, and Tyson Fury is a brilliant boxer, but even he couldn't outbox Usyk on the back foot, and win on a decision. You've got to go forward. The best success Tyson Fury had, the best success Anthony Joshua had, was going forward and trying to nail this guy, going to the body, going to the head. You've seen Fury use the uppercut brilliantly in their first fight. You've seen Anthony Joshua use the body work brilliantly in their second fight, I believe. You've got to go forward and go for it. It's the only chance you have of getting this guy. Fury likes to call him a cruiserweight and all this stuff. Obviously, he couldn't even finish him. But you look at a guy like Daniel Dubois, definitely a harder hitter than Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury's massive and a great boxer, but Daniel Dubois is a destroyer. He's 250 pounds, built like a proper heavyweight, and he will come out and do serious damage to anyone that isn't on their game that night, as shown with the Anthony Joshua performance. So pressure is the biggest key. He cannot sit back and just let Usyk take over. As Anthony Joshua said in the lead up to that Dubois fight, let someone take an inch, they'll take a mile. You let Usyk take an inch, he's took the rest of the fight, it's over. It's very hard to get back from that point on, because this guy's that good of a boxer. A master of boxing, some would call him. Southpaw, great cardio, great jab, great footwork, great chin, great durability. Everything mixes into one with this guy. It's so difficult for an opponent to beat him. That's why no one's done it at cruiserweight, and he went undisputed. And no one's done it at heavyweight either, and he's undisputed. This guy is rare, and it's going to be tough to beat him. You look at Daniel Dubois, on top of the world right now, coming off the best performance of his career and on the best win streak of his career. And obviously he's world champion. So his confidence is through the roof, and maximum in his head. He is the destroyer. There is no last fight. First fight with Usyk didn't happen, because simply in Daniel Dubois' mind, that guy doesn't exist anymore. He doesn't know who that is. You know, that guy that quit, who's that? He doesn't know him. The Daniel Dubois, the Destroyer, the guy is going to come in, ruin the party, and in his own words, in this face-off, he really likes this word actually. He's going to cause chaos. You've got to bring the storm to a fighter like Usyk, or else he's going to run away with it. So obviously, the biggest talking point from their first fight, even though Usyk schooled him and beat him with a jab and made him quit, is the body shot. It's the most controversial thing. It's the biggest talking point. Was it high? We have people like Carl Frampton saying I was alright with that, or was it low? Like a lot of majority of the boxing fans think. Personally, I thought it was alright at the time, but look, it's irrelevant now because Usyk used his time, played it smart, got back up, and fought on to win, and to win quite easily. Daniel Dubois' mind, all he's thinking is, well, this guy's fought Anthony Joshua, and he's fought Tyson Fury, and he's fought all these other great opponents. Derek Chisora is a great opponent, but I'm the only guy that's put him down. I put him down to the body. I knocked him down with a body shot, and this is what Daniel Dubois is thinking. I've hurt him. I'm the one that's done it. None of these other guys could do it. I'm the one that hurt him, and not only did I hurt him back then, when he was younger and better and probably fitter, but I was probably worse as well at that time. You look at the experience Daniel Dubois gained from that moment, and how much better he's got in his own right, and he's thinking, I hurt him when he was better, probably because he was younger, and when I was worse. So who's to say that Usyk is still perfect? He's way older. Not to say that he's gonna be shambolic in there and not good at all, because that's just not the truth. But Daniel Dubois will be thinking my chances of hurting him now are even higher, and he hurt him because you can't say the shot was in the low area where no one wants to be hit. It was below the belt or on the belt. Definitely wasn't high either. But he's going to be thinking, I hurt Usyk with a body shot. And you could see the pain Usyk was in. I mean, there's no hiding it. Realistically, everyone would have been in pain at that moment after getting hit by him there. I'll pass on that one, but that's the confidence he's going to have to bring. His confidence, his mindset is the biggest thing in this fight. Fake it till you make it. You have to believe it until you achieve it. If you don't believe in yourself, then no matter who's in your corner, you're not going to get it done. That's just the way it goes. You have to believe more than anyone else that you can do this. You have to believe more than Usyk that you can do it than he can. Whereas with Usyk, he's going to be thinking, I already beat this guy. Usyk outboxed him in that fight, and there's no denying it. And he outsmarted him. Technically, he outsmarted everyone, because even if that shot low or not, whatever you think, Usyk was gave the low blow ruling by the referee, and therefore used his time and his experience to use that time and to recover fully, and then get back up when he was ready and go back to work when he was ready, and won the rest of the round and dominated the rest of the fight, stopping Daniel Dubois. And all these things add up. Great cardio, great jab, great footwork, all around great boxer. I mean, realistically, the guy's got everything. He's got great defense, got great chin. We've seen people like Fury and Joshua hit him with big shots, and he stayed there. His cardio and his footwork, and he's a southpaw. Those are the main aspects, and because they're all so fundamental, they all tie together so well. It's not like Wilder, where this guy had one punch knockout power, but no skills and not much footwork to get him that far. So that didn't really tie together well, because that's a super natural factor. They don't teach you your punching power in the boxing gym. They teach you the fundamentals, and once you have them unlocked, like Usyk, they're the factors that go together the best. And Usyk has respectable power as well. So for him in this fight, it's just going to be about negating the storm early. Weathering the storm like he did in that last fight when he got hurt to the body or to the low blow, and getting back up if he goes down. Weathering the storm, using his boxing, using his experience to tackle a great fighter like Daniel Dubois, and tackle his come forward pressure, take over in the late rounds, and potentially stop at Daniel Dubois, or go to a decision and beat him to become two-time undisputed. Those are the things he's going to have to use. His jab is most important in my opinion. You look at that last fight, Oleksandr Usyk stopped him with a jab. That's rare in boxing. It wasn't the jab, it wasn't the power of the punch that took away Daniel Dubois' legs and he couldn't get back up. Daniel Dubois could have got back up there, but he just didn't. That is the truth. Whether you like to believe it or not, he could have, but he didn't. And that's what happened there. That shot had frustrated him that much throughout the fight that he pretty much gave up on it and quit, because it was annoying him that much. He was frustrated and he couldn't do anything about it. And then in that shot in itself, he's southpaw, use that jab, you start getting around the opponent's lead foot on the outside of it, Then Usyk starts to land that straight left down the middle. And that's where these power shots come in, or he goes around the side with them like he did to hurt Fury over the top. This guy just chips and chips and chips and chips until everything collapses, and that could be what happens again in this fight. I'm gonna give you the two outcomes that are possible, and I'll give you the outcome that I think will happen. The only way to win, in my opinion, for Daniel Dubois is to go out there early, put it on Usyk like mental, like you've never done before in a fight. Just throw everything you have, and if you hurt him, then you better throw like there's no tomorrow. You better throw every punch you can think of, body, head, everything. Just keep it up so the referee doesn't call time in between. When you have Usyk rattled, you have to go after this guy. There's no two ways about it. You have to nail him when he's hurt, because if you don't, he's going to come back and he'll probably win. So in my opinion, for Daniel Dubois to win, he has to get the stoppage in 6 rounds, which does sound extremely unrealistic to prefer against a master of boxing like Usyk. With the resume and the people he's fought, no one's done it to him. Obviously he's been dropped with body shots before, so look, who knows, maybe Dubois is, you look at Dubois' advantages in this fight. The fact that he is a natural heavyweight, like everyone has been, and Usyk's beat them, and that always plays into Usyk's advantage as well. But Daniel Dubois is a huge heavyweight and a huge hitter. I believe he's won all of his fights apart from one by stoppage. You've got to go at it. You're younger as well. That's the biggest advantage. We're dealing with an 11-year age gap here. There's no hiding it. That's going to be a huge advantage for Daniel Dubois. He's a destroyer in his prime. Usyk's an older boxer, a great boxer, one of the best ever, but he's older. And that's where you kind of see where Usyk's things like his footwork and his cardio and his speed, those things are what get affected when you get older. Those are the things that take damage first. So look, people say that Usyk would know his body, and I tend to agree with that. At the same time, you see with Tony Bellew said boxers don't know. The boxers are the last to accept that their time is over. And in the face-to-face earlier on, Usyk said boxing is my oxygen. And you tend to look at fighters that say that go on for longer than they need to. Because Usyk really doesn't need to be fighting. He's won everything, he's achieved everything from the Olympics to the pros. He's done it all, but he's still here. And he's sticking around. And Father Time does remain undefeated in this game, catches up on everyone. For Usyk to win, I believe he needs to weather the storm early, stick it on Dubois, and beat him by stoppage. I do believe that if he doesn't genuinely knock Dubois out, Dubois is not quitting this time, in my opinion. I do think Usyk will win by decision if that is the way that goes. For my final pick, I've watched Daniel Dubois now for years, like way longer than a lot of people probably, watching the UFC, and Daniel Dubois come on after on a promo, and I've kept an eye on him since. You do when someone's that hard of a hitter. The number one thing I want in this fight, no offense to Usyk, but is for Daniel Dubois to go out there and nail him and beat him personally. Daniel Dubois is one of my favourite fighters and a guy that I've been a fan of for a long time now. So to see him get a great win on a great stage like that there for all the belts will be brilliant. But there's no denying that Usyk is a master of boxing, and I think he'll know how to win. But this is a tough pick for me, tougher than a lot of people would have it, because I tend to believe in Daniel Dubois more than a lot of people, because I've seen him come through a lot of the stuff before the Joe Joyce fight, then come back from the Joe Joyce fight, and come back from the Usyk fight. There's no denying that he's the best he's ever been right now. I believe out of the 3 people, him, Tyson Fury, and Anthony Joshua, he has the best chance at beating Oleksandr Usyk this weekend. All that said, smart pick here is Usyk, and they often say don't go against Usyk, because he always wins. But I've gone against him the last couple of times, and I'm going to do it again. I'm going to go for Daniel Dubois to get it done by stoppage and cause a major upset. One of the biggest upsets in boxing history, possibly. I think if he gets Usyk hurt, like the other people have, like Fury has hurt him with the uppercuts, Joshua had him in trouble, I believe Daniel Dubois isn't too much of an overthinker, and I think he will go in for the kill, and I think he'll be able to get it done. Always back your man. I've been watching Daniel Dubois for years now. Backed him the first time, backing him again. Even if I'm wrong, I won't deny the smart pick here is Usyk. The most likely outcome here is Usyk, but gotta risk it. So that's going to be all for the day. Let me know your picks down below. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, subscribe over here.